Congratulations with the book. Just another book. Tell me, what's the relevance of this book?
The idea of the power of music thinking is to bring different things together, like creativity, or let's say co-creativity, service design, and organizational change. So there are three tracks through what I call the music thinking framework, and in the book I explain how they come together and how people can work meaningful together.
So it's a book for change. But what's the analogy with music?
The analogy with music is that music is such a broad field that we can use this as inspiration and compare to metaphor. For example, a metaphor is like something like, oh, we need a conductor for this organization. But then it just stops. So the metaphor just helps to get the idea of, let's say, a leader across. But what I want is to see, okay, if there's a conductor, who is the composer? Is the conductor the leader, or is he just the follower of what the composer has written down? And in that way, we can also look to, let's say, a producer, or in world music, or in traditional, indigenous music. You can also see that there's a guru or a master where you learn working together with him, or in jazz, where we have innovation, but in jazz, the improviser is part of the playing, so he's an active player, while a producer and a conductor are not making any noise. So the analogy is to not just use something like a metaphor or a part of it, but go into the very broad field and see how rich this field is. And because it's so rich, it's easier to compare with business, which is also a very broad field.
Tell me, on which levels can you actually use music thinking?
Because music thinking is such a big field, you can use music thinking and the music thinking framework on an individual level, on a team level, or let's say on an organizational level. So if you would read the book, that's an idea. Read it from one of these perspectives, and I think then the book can give you some answers on either what I just said, on an individual level, like a leader, or maybe also as a follower, as a team, or as the organization.
So it's a book for change. What is it? What are, let's say, the pivotal elements of music thinking in change?
The idea of change is that every product or every service that you develop will have an effect on something else, and maybe have a change as a consequence. So there are pivotal elements which I call cues, like empathy. Empathy meaning trying to understand individuals and their environment. Really listen and understand. You can use the book in different ways. You just can read the book, let's say, from beginning to the end, just to get the idea, because it's also a new visual language, and it's also a new language, new keywords that you can use. But on the other hand, if you really want to go into practice with the book, it helps if you come up with a question yourself. In the book I call it the unanswered question. A question that you not have solved yet. Something like a design challenge, or even broader. And if you read the book from that perspective, then I would advise you to use the different templates that you can download from the website via a QR code, and just make it practical. Write down what the instructions that are in the book, and try to make sense out of it. And don't forget, start with the unanswered question. On a second level that you can find in the book, you can use the playlists. For every cue, there's a different playlist. And if you read the chapter of one of the cues, browse the playlist, and you will get much more information. And maybe if there's a question, listen to it again, because there's maybe some hidden information about the cues, and the playlist will give you a broader field of music that you might not have heard before, and that helps you to broaden the field and to dive into the analogy.
What's with the T-shirt?
There are 3 stories about it. So the first story is, nowadays when we're in business, some people go to a workshop, like let's say a design thinking workshop for 2 days, and then they're a design thinker. So like, been there, done that, got the T-shirt. So people show what they did. So that's one part. The second part is, when you look into music, and especially to pop and rock music, the T-shirt is the most important merchandise a band has, besides, let's say, the album or the playlist. So there's the musical part. The third part is, in beginning, I think it was 2001, a Dutch agency, Experimental Jet Set, had the question to design a T-shirt of the Beatles. And then they thought about, how could we do this? Make a picture of the Beatles, of the four heads, or they came up with an idea. They thought we do it just more conceptual. We just use the possibilities of design and create the T-shirt, and they work with the names. It was the famous John, Paul, George, and Ringo T-shirt, and this is really iconic. And actually, this gave me the link to the most essential part in the music thinking framework and in the book. That's the idea to grasp the whole book in a T-shirt, listen to and play, perform.